Who doesn't love Rick and Morty? Only those who haven't seen it. I'm your host, Chaos Stubbs. I'm here today with Limitless. Today we're going to be sitting down with James from Schmeckles. This is going to be a two-part discussion. In the first part, we're going to dig deep, and we're going to get to know more about this fun XRPL project straight from the horse's mouth. The second part, we're going to cover some strategies and advice from the Schmeckles team. James, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys. How you doing?
Oh, we're doing pretty good.
Blessed, definitely blessed. You know what? You know where I want to start. Peace and blessings, Josh, your boy James Anthony. You know where I want to start? Schmeckles. The other day, somebody said to me, "You know what that means?" And I said, no. He said, Google it. So I did that, and he had a laugh.
You're from New York. You should know, James. What's going on? So for everybody, Schmeckles is a Yiddish word. So if you don't know what Yiddish is, it's a language that Jewish people utilize. And the word does mean, like, I'll just do that and I won't actually say it on the air. But it has a connotation, right? So it's a word that's been used through Hollywood forever, right?
Yeah.
Like it's nothing that's new to cinema, to TV, to
Absolutely.
anything. So the classic example, which I remember, is from Adam Sandler's movie Click, where he's just born and his mum looks at him and goes, "Look at that little Schmeckle," and they're really happy because they have a son. So that's where I remember it from, and it's the first time I really heard the word and started using it with my mates and things like that. Yeah. And then it came up in Rick and Morty, and I've always loved Rick and Morty. So when it came up in Rick and Morty, I was like, "Dang, I thought so." Yeah. So the episode's called Me, Six, and Destroy, and Schmeckles is a make-believe currency in a make-believe world that they utilize, and it's a pretty dark episode when you actually watch it. It's hidden under like the real fun sort of let's go on a quest sort of ideology, but it gets quite dark in that episode. But the word Schmeckle sort of stuck from there, and my wife and I, like I was telling you guys off air, we're massive Rick and Morty fans. So nice. we wanted to let's use that word as a promotion for this project that we had this idea of. And I'll try. You have to gonna cut me off because I'm going to be able to talk forever. But really, if I jump straight into what Schmeckles really started as, is we really wanted to create a project where we could spread the idea of tapping into your childish self and really not being too serious with life. Everything's serious, right? Life is serious. Life is hard. Life is difficult. And there's no reason to just continue to create things that makes things more difficult or complicates things even more. So we just wanted to do something that was really simple, really bright, really light, full of happiness and joy, where we could remind people, stop taking yourself so seriously. Just take off that stress, take it off, throw it away, and let's just have some fun, play some games, listen to some music, create some art, celebrate artists, watch some cartoons, have a laugh, be silly. We swear all the time. So I know, James, you're worried about swearing, but I swear all the time. You guys can swear in this if you want to. I believe it's part of that being passionate. So that's where Schmeckles really originated from. And then we wanted to make it as funny as possible. So why not make it that Yiddish word, Schmeckles, relate it to Rick and Morty. Let's create a Rick and Morty fan token. And that's sort of where all these ideas sort of came together and originated this project, which is now a year old, right? So we turned a year not too long ago, a couple of days ago. So it's really cool.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like to touch a little bit. So I did a video on Schmeckles in a series of hard slot token videos that I'm doing.
And check that out. I haven't seen that. You have to send
really?
that to me.
Yeah, for sure. I'll have to send you a link. Yeah, you'll love it. So I noticed on your website there's a bit about mental health there, and I didn't really dig too much into it. It just looks like a lot of mental health resources and stuff.
That's right.
But do you want to talk a little bit more about it? Because I think I've seen something that you're planning to integrate the mental health thing a little bit.
Well, we don't want to do too much there. So just to give a bit of background about me personally. So I am the project lead for Schmeckles, and in my history, I've done a million different jobs. But the one thing that really stuck true to me was in the mental health industry. So my mum was a psychologist. So growing up, I had a lot of that ideology brought into me through my youth. And as I got older, I went like really serious in my life. So I studied engineering at university, went on to work in construction, running billion-dollar projects. I ended up working for the Australian government, for the Department of Defense. And I sort of just hated it. I wasn't in love with life anymore. And I lost that the real spark. So I decided one day I'm going to step away from that, and actually went into the mental health industry, got my certificate in mental health in Australia, went and worked for a bunch of different mental health charities, one in particular, which was a mental health charity for men's mental health. And I just fell in love with life again through that. And it reminded me that money's great, money's fantastic, but there's so much more to life than money. And ensuring that our mental health is healthy can unlock all these other pathways to fun, excitement, joy, just being in love with life again. So I was giving that to people through the charity, through my training, and a lot of it did come down to being silly. That really cut through a lot of people, cut through that real dangerous place that they were in their mind. And sometimes you could snap them out of that with a really funny joke or making a fool of yourself. And it really brought them out of their shell. And I was like, wow, this is such a powerful tool. And then I started to realize with a lot of these people that were suffering, that their
inner
child self, that's right, was suppressed by all this adulthood stuff, all the convoluted crap that we face when we get older, taxes, family issues, just friends walking away from us, deaths and dealing with grief and all this stuff. And that child, that they lose them and they don't know how to get back to them. And it's tough. It's hard to find that place. But the best way that you can do it is through looking into your mental health first, like acknowledging that there's something not quite right going on in your mind, in yourself, in your entity, addressing it, and then working with like the best people for it. So what I do for the community as now is I do help them out whenever they are suffering by connecting them to the right resources. I don't treat anyone. That's not what I do. But if there's an existing resource, let's say someone's struggling with their finances, I might put them onto a professional in financial health, right? And they can work with that resource to try and unpack what they're going through and try and find that resolution. Nice. So that's really what we're trying to do through that mental health portal on our website. It's not to like directly assist anyone. It's more so to connect people to the right resources. What we've started to do, we're just so busy. We want to do everything, right? And that's one of the things that is a struggle for us. And we can talk about the struggles of the project later on if you'd like. But one of the things that we're trying to do is build in those resources for every single region around the world. So we started with Australia because that's where we're from. Sure. A lot of the resources in Australia are, there's a lot of information for people all around the world. So we do encourage people to have a look either way. And then the second one is the Philippines, because the Filipino community are one of our biggest supporters, to be honest. So we wanted to give them back. And there's a lot of negativity happening there right now as well. There was some massive storms that hit there, just decimated the country. A lot of people struggle with poverty in the Southeast Asia. So that was the second hit. I think we're going to try and move it across to North America, to the USA, and as well as Canada for the next ones. But it's just the time is the difficulty to build those things, because we want to vet all these resources, ensure that we're not leading anyone to some like a bad resource or just. The hardest thing about the mental health industry is if you send someone somewhere and they're looking for help and they don't get it, that can make them actually worse. So we just want to make sure that we don't.
Yeah, it could definitely spin them off. I have myself been around mental health, medications my whole life. I'm coming up on 4 years sober, right? So
congratulations, awesome.
Yeah, amen, brother, amen. My entire life, I've gone through every kind of rehabilitation center, psychologist, psychiatrist you can imagine, and so I have myself personally dealt with that. And you know what my wife has always said? She's always said, you got to get in touch with your inner child, because that's what it's all about. It's about getting back to that inner child, because life should not be as serious as everyone makes it, right? It's like life or death, but it's really not. Enjoy it while you can. So touche.
We've got one life, right? That's, your wife is spot on. We've got one life, and if we don't embrace it and live it to the best, then it's going to pass, and we're going to look back and be like, I had all that youth, all that energy, and now I've got nothing. And that's got to be the saddest thing, to get to the end of life and to look back and to have regret, right?
Regrets. Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey, bro.
So let's change the tone a little bit. We're getting a little dark, bro. No,
Listen, we're both talking, bro. We can go.
So I've pretty much specialized in crypto, play to earn, and blockchain gaming over the last year and a half or so. And that's what really brought me to Schmeckles. Like, Schmeckles was the first hard slot video I did because of that. I was like, oh, this integrates perfectly. So can we talk a little bit about the games? I mean, James isn't really into the games, but he even had some stuff that he was pretty impressed that you guys have some working projects.
I'll tell you real quick. Earlier today, I asked Chaos, I said, let's jump on real quick and you can show me your video so I can kind of walk through what's going on with Schmeckles a little bit. And I'm not into gaming at all, and it definitely intrigued me. It looked like sleek. There was a bit of an easy feel to it. So yeah, let's talk. What's going on?
Awesome. So I think first and foremost, what I will say is Schmeckles is a member of the XRPL Gaming Alliance, and that is a group of projects that are coming together to really integrate the blockchain technology into everyday gaming.
Nice.
Definitely check them out. To other projects out there, check them out, especially if you're building games. They're a fantastic group. They're completely serious. It's not fun and games over there, even though it is fun and games, right? So they're really working hard. There's some really bright minds. I learned so much. Like, I like to think I'm really knowledgeable about things like this because I've been doing it forever, but they teach me things every single meeting. I'll ask a million questions and learn a million things. So a really good group there. So with Schmeckles, again, like part of this whole ideology, we just want people to have fun and enjoy their time. So we built some really silly games, things that are sort of like around the Gary Gensler thing, throwing darts at him, and just playing around with that sort of idea. But the major game that we do have is called the Schmeckle Invasion. That game is really trying to bring back that retro feel of role-playing games where it's like a Pokemon or Zelda game.
Exactly,
Yep. So you're choosing your hero, you're going on an adventure, you're trying to defeat monsters, go on quests. But the beauty about it as well is what we're trying to do is introduce education. And we're doing that with our friends over at Treasury. So
I did an interview with, sorry for cutting you off. I did an interview with Duncan, and I put it in my community. And in fact, we were supposed to do an interview today, but I couldn't catch him. Duncan, I'm coming for you.
Duncan's a great guy and another one of my really good friends, and we talk all the time, and we run ideas past each other. And Schmeckles, I've worked on a few different lessons for the academy as well, and we're working on another brand new thing on health and mental health and all that sort of stuff. So that's to come. But so we've worked with Duncan as well as Treasury to bring some of those lessons into the game. At the moment, there's not that many, but we're going to develop it. So it's going to be the Treasury Academy, literally a building in the game where you go and you do these lessons. If you answer it correctly, you get rewarded with in-game prizes. So that's just one of the ways we're integrating something outside of just the OG gaming sort of ideology. The other thing that we're doing is working with artists. So we're working with musicians to bring music onto that. So far, I think we've got 3 XRPL specific musicians that are featured in the game.
I noticed that you can find his SoundCloud there when you talk to one of the characters in game.
That's exactly right. I think there's only one that's specific XRPL in the current beta version, but in the next version that we're building out, the alpha, there's a whole bunch in there. So that's another thing. Then we have that little NFT world where you can go there. It's still in the beta version. It's still very limited, but the idea there is we're going to bring up all the NFTs of all the friends of the project and have their NFTs featured there. So you can go in and you can discover art through a game, right? And we really like that idea as well. And that will have a QR code. So you might be playing on your PC, then you scan the QR code. You're taken straight to the marketplace where you could potentially buy that NFT. So they're just some of the other ways that we're trying to bring this game to life. What we really want to do, and we're not exactly sure, so we're not going to sign our lives away to this, but one of the ideas is we want to integrate into the XRPL formally rather than just sort of have it on the side. And we might do that through achievements where there might be some in-game quests that you have to do that are higher difficulty, that if you complete that quest, you might receive an achievement. And that might be an IOU token that you can redeem for merchandise or maybe even some Schmeckles, something along those lines. So that's something else we want to do. We want to bring in that, I don't know if you guys played World of Warcraft, but that ideology or maybe RuneScape, the ideology of grinding. So we want to create some grinding items that might be a really low percentage find. That might be you might be able to hand in for a real world item as well. So that's another thing that we want to do. So there's a few things there, but yeah, the game as it stands, it's a good testament to what we can do, the potential there. And in that final version, we really want to take it up that level, like having a quest book, for example, is something that we really want to do. And there's a few other bits and pieces. They're not coming to mind right now, but there's a few other bits and pieces that just from the gaming sort of user interface perspective, we just really want to bring that up a bit, just improve that. Because it is great how it stands, but there are some little finesses that we can do to make it even better.
One of the things I mentioned in my video, it's not as user-friendly quite as
exactly
it could be,
right.
But obviously it's an early version. So that makes me want to ask, when's the actual fuller version coming, or at least the next rendition?
Yeah, the goal is for Q1 next year, but again, it's really dependent on. So initially, the time hold up and why we didn't really push hard was because we're trying to work with other projects in developing quest lines and things like that. There are a few that we've come into contact with. So OC Lost Art is one of them. Physical Digital Digital. So we're working with him as well. So there are a couple that have come forward. Of course, there's Treasury, and there's a few Easter eggs in there from groups like Zoj, for example. But yeah, we really wanted to bring in as many projects who were interested to begin with, so we could develop all these different elements of the game. But yeah, it's I think we've hit that limit now, so it's sort of time to start pushing that creation and really building it out.
Can you give us an estimate on how many hours of gameplay there is so far?
At the moment, it depends on how you game, right? So if you're someone who wants to achieve everything, you could probably sit on that game for a good 2-3 hours. But if you're happy just to sort of run through real quickly, it might just be an hour gameplay.
Okay.
Yep.
And the full version is planned to be more than that, obviously.
Oh, definitely. We're looking to 5 to 10 hours. That's like wicked. So it might not be like a single sitting. You might want to come back to it over a couple of days, sort of.
Wicked.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Yep.
And do you have future plans regarding games? More games, maybe? Or?
So it's gonna really be what XRPL Gaming Alliance is doing. I think that's where we will, once this game is developed, I think that's where we'll put our focus, purely because
like what,
I think
with EQ, with like Equilibrium
Gaming. It's not just them. They're really just going. They're going to the next level. I really encourage like everyone. I could speak about it forever, but there's just too much there. So check out their white paper. I think is a great thing. I can give you guys the link if you want to post it under this video.
Yeah.
They're really looking to that next level, and they're working with some really big names in the industry. So and there's all of the XRPL projects that are in that gaming space are in bed with XRPL Gaming. So it's a great group. Yep. But yeah, we would definitely, what we will do is we'll definitely keep building short games, like just sort of like those 5 to 10 minute
attention grabbers, the attention.
Yeah, that's right. The fun little things that just to get your mind off your day. You might be doing an 8-hour day of work and just need a 5-minute breather. You might not smoke, so instead just play the game and release some stress, something like that.
What about with Reaper? Are there any plans to integrate any kind of games having to do with Reaper?
No, nothing's been mentioned, but hey, I'll have a chat to Patrick and we'll see what can happen. That would be something fun to do for sure. But yeah, so if you guys don't know, with Reaper, like we're both part of the block. So Patrick is the chairman of the block. So the block is the Blockchain Leadership Oversight Council. Mm-hmm. I'm personally the ethical officer for the block. So we
good to know.
Yeah, so we meet pretty much every week. I think Patrick tries to get on twice a week. Because of the time zone, I only get on really once a week. But yeah, it's a great little initiative. We're launching in 4 days, I think maybe 5 days actually, because of the time zone difference. So that's something that's really exciting that's about to launch. It's coming to try and help regulate this industry. Of course, it's not through enforcement, but it's through education is that regulatory
it's a
sort
centralized authority for a decentralized system. I love it.
It's not an authority, James. So I don't know if Patrick has called it an authority. I personally wouldn't call it an authority. And sometimes the language can get confusing, and even within our house, it gets a bit sort of muddled. But like, I feel like calling it an authority gets dangerous because it starts to incite that idea of that we're going to enforce. We're not about enforcing. We're not the police on the block. That's not what we're going to do. We're more so trying to encourage people to do right. We want to say, this is a standard that you can follow. It's not the only standard, but this is what we believe is what defines a really good project and what would really help the community to give faith into your project and to build, it's the dirty word that Patrick doesn't like to use, but to build trust.
We all knew it.
So that's what the block is really about. Is like, here's a few pointers that you can follow these pointers. If you need some help, we'll hold your hand and we'll help you build that. We've done it before. We've done it ourselves. And let's try and bring up the standard of what the XRPL is. And then our future incentives is, hey, governments, look at what we've created. This is how you enforce crypto in your government. It's not by persecuting people and taking them to court. It's by helping educate them. This is this new standard. We're going to release it. Now, hey, crypto projects, let's come and have a conversation. And we're not going to sue you. We're going to help you to meet these standards. And that's what we really think government bodies should be doing, right?
I love it. I think the whole concept for block oversight is just outstanding. I mean, because you're not enforcing it, right? It's like a set of checks and balances that if
Right.
you do go by it, you know, that gives the consumer, right? It's all about the consumer at the end of the day. It gives the consumer that much more confidence, that much more security. You know what? They were willing to go through that. Let's look into that project. Let's invest in that project. So I love it.
100%. Well, that's the bottom line, right? None of these projects will exist without the communities. So if you're not community focused, you're getting into the danger zone. And if you're thinking about your bottom line constantly and not thinking about the community and how you can protect them and help them, you're probably in the wrong space, to be honest.
That's
Yeah.
called, right? It's called
Yeah.
business myopia. On my last interview with Patrick, that's exactly what he was talking about. That sometimes the projects, they get too wrapped up in the bottom line and they lose sight of the product. They lose sight of the customer. So
Well, there's no bottom line if there's no people like spending, investing, and being part of the ecosystem. So it all comes down to the community. Yeah.
So I want to talk, since we're kind of talking about block anyways, it's a bit of a tough question, but what projects, because Patrick said that maybe not all projects will be block compliant or maybe not want to become block compliant, so they might not last. Do you think any of the current hard slots are going to be among those that will not make block compliance?
So the only one concern that I have, and this has got nothing to do with against them, because I really like the two devs there. So it's XR Doge. I really like Alex. I really like Vicky. They're two great people, great devs, and they've got control of this project now. And I really believe in the direction they're taking it. My only concern is it's muddled with a lot of dark history, and I think a lot of people on the XRPL understand that. So that's my only concern. But I think they're great people, great project. I personally hold XR Doge. The Schmeckles community has been distributing XR Doge, so that's my only concern. I haven't dug too deep on X Quake. That's the other one. So I personally just don't know enough about them. I haven't had the time to do my own due diligence. But most of the others, I'm pretty much talking to them weekly, so I'm quite comfortable, maybe even more often than weekly, to be honest. So.
yeah,
Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because we were having the same conversation, me and Chaos.
Yeah.
We were kind of like going through tokenomics of each project, and I remember Patrick was telling Chaos that it takes, once you guys go live with block, it's 45 days or something like that, and then whoever doesn't meet the standards won't be block compliant, right? And so we were kind of going through.
You mean it won't be hard slotted compliant? Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, but they're there. We're going to be reviewing them, so it's just a matter of putting them through the current system that we've set up, and then coming together as a collective, as a board, and really discussing how we think it's going to go forward. But like I said, I've had meetings personally with Alex and Vicky multiple times, and they are diligent, good people. It's just they're suffering from a history which is very upsetting.
So just to touch on that real quick, is that pertaining to that 75% airdrop situation? Is that what we're talking about with
it's more so with previous devs and previous people that were in the project stepping away and sort of like I call it a rug, but yeah, I don't know if that's how you want to define it for everyone. So, guys, I just want to say this is my personal opinion. People might completely disagree with me, and I encourage people to disagree with me. I think it's very healthy to have disagreements and to educate people with these sorts of things. This is just an opinion. You may completely disagree with me, and I'm more than happy to jump on live on the air and we can have a chat about this, and you can educate me if you feel it's different. But this is my observations. This is what I've seen. Yeah,
this is the same thing that before you even mentioned it, that we were speaking about, because it's what stood out to us as well. So it's just interesting that that you brought it up.
Yeah, but let's talk about XR Doge, right? Like a lot of XRPL projects owe XR Doge so much. It's how I personally found the XRP ledger. I was into XRP back in 2017, had no idea the XRP ledger existed. Had a friend introduce me to the XR Doge community, and all of a sudden I was like, wow, there is a whole thing here. There's a whole blockchain here that I didn't know about. It's a blockchain that has got low like transaction fees, with fast transaction times, with a really simple onboarding process. Like I was just like, wow, it blew my mind. And that's how Schmeckles really found the XRP ledger. So we have XR Doge to thank for that. And it's not just us. There's a lot of different projects that are in the same basket. Whether they'll sell it publicly or not, I don't know. But that's how I found the XRP ledger, was through XR Doge. So I owe them a lot. Yeah.
So specifically about these Doge meme coin projects, like I feel like your guys' project is a legitimate like meme coin. You call it a fan token, but from what I'm seeing, what you guys have is like the most legitimate meme token I've seen. Whereas, what is the fascination with these Dogecoin, like original Doge? People are all over it, right? But the tokenomics again
yeah.
don't make sense. What is it for you that made you like Doge specifically, or XR Doge?
So XR Doge, it's pretty simple, right? And there's one name that goes behind it. It's Elon Musk.
Yep.
There's so much power with a single tweet from that man, and that man has tweeted around that dog on the Shiba Inu coin ideology for ages. It's been the most fascinating thing for me, and why I find it so fascinating is literally a line of text of alphanumeric code can encourage and transform humans to have an emotional response to investing and spending their money in something, and it's just that power and that influence is just, it's mind-boggling, and I'm just super fascinated by it.
It's definitely limitless. Yeah.
So when all of a sudden there was this project that existed with the same kind of ideology, but instead of just being a vacant team, there was a public team there. And not only was there a public team that was on a blockchain where there was a faster transaction time and there was lower transaction fees. I was like, this is awesome. So I didn't spend a whole lot of money in XR Doge back then, but it was a community that I became a part of, and it was really intriguing to me. And then I found Zoge, right? So Zoge is another one of those projects that is hard slotted, and it's again another one of those Doge projects, another one of those Shiba Inu dog projects. And that dev, William Classy, he just blows my mind. He is just the hardest working, most fascinating human being I think I've ever met. So he works a day job and then goes back and works another job. Like it blows my mind how much time he spends working, and he works himself to a nub, right? Like he just doesn't stop. And he's building this cross blockchain system, and it's the most
those clones, right? Those clones are everywhere, man. They're on every chain.
Unbelievable.
Like 5 different chains, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's I have all the time in the world for William. So yeah, it is an interesting mean sort of progression in time, how it went from Doge, Shiba Inu, and even on the XRPL, there's so many. There's Shiba NFT. It's everywhere. So it's fascinating. It's I'm not against it. Sometimes I'm not for it, but there are some select few that I absolutely love, and then Zoge is 100% one of them. If you guys don't know that the dev of Zoge, William, he is the vice chair of Block. So that just goes to show. So it's a meme coin, but it's a serious meme coin.
There's power there. There's definitely 100% power.
When I asked Patrick what his favorite token was, he said it's really hard to pick a favorite, but probably XOge just because of the devs and all that. So that's pretty interesting.
Yep, definitely. It's really the way they're integrating into these other blockchains and the way they're doing it with, like, it's one of those projects, like we were saying before, there's no concern for the bottom line. I'm pretty sure William's losing money doing what he's doing. Yeah. So it's all about the community. It is purely community based, and it's it's beautiful.
Wow, it's saying something like that definitely shifted my perspective a little bit, because I see him tweeting a lot. I see, without a doubt, him being super concerned with the community, but hearing it from you gives me a better perspective. And
it's hard sometimes, James, right? Like but you see text, and text can be funny, text can be misleading, and sometimes you can interpret text in the wrong context or the wrong way, and really sitting down and speaking with William, and if you guys are doing these, I'm assuming you will eventually get to him. Sure. You will start to understand, like he may not have, like, he's not wearing a suit, and he's not like this real professional type of visual person, but as soon as he speaks, you're like, what the hell? Who is this guy? Like, how is he? Like, what? And he's unbelievable. So yeah, there you go. If Patrick's talking about XOge or Zoge, there you go, right? Like it really is. It's a fascinating project, and definitely one to have a look at. Of course, with everything we're saying, I'm just going to say this, and I'm sure you guys have this as a disclaimer, but it's not financial advice. Everyone needs to do their own research on everything we're saying. Even Schmeckles, don't just buy Schmeckles. Research Schmeckles, do your research, ask questions when you have them. Hopefully we can flush out many of the questions here today.
And I'll second that. This is not financial advice, nor are we financial advisors. This is just us sharing our experience with hopes that it may help people avoid a pitfall or two. no doubt.
One thing I look for in a legitimate project, because like I said, crypto gaming's kind of been my thing, is working games that you can play right now, whether it's a demo or not. If there's a project promising you all this and they don't have even a working game, then you kind of got to be a little suspicious. But a working game for me is a green flag that project is something to at least look into further, no question.
Well, this is a concern, and I'm happy you brought that up, Chaos, because there's a lot of these metaverse projects that are around, and I have my concerns, and I have my concerns primarily for the communities that are investing lots and lots of money into them. My first question to a lot of these investors are, what will you do with the metaverse? Like, do you need a metaverse? Is this something that you actually want? Or are you like speculating on the value of what this is going to be? Like, why are you putting your money there? Yes, it's something new. Chaos just disappeared. Well done,
Yeah.
Chaos. That's fascinating.
Where'd you go, bud?
Camera died. we've been on like all day, to be fair.
Yeah, we definitely have. Well, listen, I'm gonna second that. As far as the metaverse platforms, there's so many promising so much, and people are just blindly. Listen, I myself personally, I have a small Telegram community. I have a small YouTube channel, and my whole thing is learning how to leverage these assets today, right now, not on what somebody's promising us tomorrow or what some narrative is pumping. You know, everybody's just parroting the same.
I love Flare Finance. As
Yeah.
much as I'm involved in that, it's been a lot of that for a long time.
It's been a tough road
or
with a lot.
not, you know?
It's been a tough road with a lot of them, and
tough.
that's the main reason why I've gravitated to Reaper Financial, and I love what they're doing, because not only is it passive income daily with StakeX and then bi-weekly with the drips and the rain, but it's also an introduction to other projects that are working really hard, and so it cuts out so much time consuming research, because everybody do your own research, of course, but when there's a hard slot of 10 projects that have gone through checks and balances, you know, you can feel a little bit more comfort in making that decision and putting that money into that. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. And we haven't really spoken about Reaper, but obviously that's how you guys have found us. And for me personally, this is going to sound really weird, but it's just probably a bit of insight into the crazy brain that I have in my head, is I will stay up at night sometimes just thinking about the philosophy of what is Reaper Financial. And I just won't be able to sleep because it just fascinates me so much.
It's so mind-blowing. It is so mind-blowing, bro.
And the ideology that this is what we need to push governments to utilize, right? Like, stop putting your people into debt and constantly gaining advantage from their debt. Let's instead open this crazy system that is currently there, peel the head off, throw out all the bullshit, and introduce a system like Reaper Financial where, okay, one, we can introduce blockchain voting into the voting systems of all these countries and get rid of all that convoluted bullshit that's going on. That's number one. Number two, set these people free. What does Patrick say? Like $90,000 of debt is every single new American baby born. They're born into 90K of debt. What an insane thought. What an insane thing. And why is that okay? And it's not okay. And that's why something like Reaper Financial can set literal nations free. And like I said, I literally just sit around thinking about it. And this was before Ascension existed. This is before ARC started getting talked about. So like it's just Reaper on its own is just the most fascinating thing, the most beautiful invention. I'm going to call it an invention. And it's
proof of concept. Absolutely. It's checked the box. It's official.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. It's beautiful.
It sounds like you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the struggles that you faced with Schmeckles. Can we get into some of that?
100%. And this is, I hope other projects watch this and listen to this. So it's actually a post that just popped up because it's a year since we did it. And that was a airdrop to all trust lines that Schmeckles had. So that was something that we did very early on. It's a complete mistake, in my opinion. The reason why it's a mistake is you do not... Okay, I should say now there are ways to fix this, and I will get into that as well. But just airdropping tokens to just trust lines. So for people who don't know, on the XRPL, to initiate contact with a project is through your wallet or through the tool that you interact with the XRP ledger on. You create a trust line which says you are happy to go back and forth with that project through their tokens. So to hold a Schmeckles token, you need a first set of Schmeckles trust line. So what we said to the community was, if you set a trust line, we're going to drop you a few tokens. What that caused was farmers, right? So a lot of individuals who create like 10, 20, 30, 40 different wallets, and they would just collect 10, 20, 30, 40 different airdrops.
And then dump them.
So, and it sounds like Patrick has actually put resources in place so people cannot do that.
Isn't that FSE? Isn't that what FSE does?
So FSE was actually the tool that we use. So FSE is Strategy Engine. That was the tool that we originally used. And FSE's come a long way. But what we did for the anniversary drop, and I encourage a lot of other projects to go look into it, is there's a great project called Swiss Tech Token.
Duncan put me onto them. I grabbed some.
They're actually sponsored by the Switzerland government. So they're fascinating. They're watchmakers, but they're also really intelligent techie guys. And they created this tool called the AD machine, or the airdrop machine. That's the tool we utilized for our anniversary drop. We dropped 11 tokens 2 times, so 22 separate drops, all within a day, all complete success, no issues at all. Not only were there no issues, they helped us find all these farmers in our own ecosystem that we didn't even realize existed. So they have that all built into this machine. Yes, there's a fee to use it, but that fee goes a long way because you're protecting the project, you're protecting your community from these farmers as well. So it's just, I really talk highly of it, and I wish something like Swiss Tech. Again, this is nothing against FSC. I haven't used FSC for quite some time, and they may have changed the proceedings of how they do it now, and they probably have all these features there. But that's the tool that I've used most recently. I just wish it was there a year ago, because that would have saved us a lot of strife in those earlier days.
So you're saying Swiss Tech token, which is a completely separate layer 2. It's a project. They've also created this tool. Wow.
So that tool costs you Swiss Tech token to utilize, though, but it's just an offset of their project. It's not what their project's about. It's just like they identified an issue on the XRPL, and they're like, how can we fix this problem? They created the AD machine, and it's a beautiful tool. And Duncan's the one that actually introduced me to them as well. So there you go. But to talk about other issues that we faced, the other big issue that we faced early on was these Twitter marketers. So I'm going to just put my hand up and say this was me personally that made this mistake. And early on, I wasn't very Twitter savvy. So I didn't realize what Twitter is all about, really. So we had these people hitting up our inbox saying, we're going to help promote your project. We have a community of 10,000 people. You send us some XRP and we'll promote your project. I'm like, what a great idea. This is a way that I can get the Schmeckles name out to 10,000 people. Whether they like it or not, it's up to them, but maybe they're going to give us a like. Little did I know, these guys are just complete scammers. So now on my...
I got burned
you got it done too.
With those same marketers. Those same
So it's not just me. Oh, fantastic. It's good to know that it's not just me. Yeah. So now on my personal wallet, I have this black mark, which I call it, which links me to these 2 scam wallets, because I did it twice. It was both on the same day as well. It was about, I think it was yesterday, 1 year ago. And I sent them some XRP for hoping for a promotion. They took my XRP. That XRP created their wallets, and that's why it's still linked to me. So now it looks like I created those wallets, took the XRP off to an exchange, shut down their Twitter page, and disappeared off into the sunset. Wow. So it was a big slap in the face and a big lesson learned. And if I can do anything for new projects, please don't make the same mistake that I did, both on the airdrops as well as these Twitter marketers, because they're all bullshit. They're all scams. Just stay away from them if you can. There's so many other ways to market. There's talking to guys like you. This is really the best marketing promotion that a project can do. You're seeing the person, the face behind a project. You're getting asked questions that aren't the easiest questions sometimes to answer. And you're really seeing how people can respond in real time. And I think this is the promotion that the XRPL should be utilizing through the projects on the XRPL, I should say.
This is basically our goal. Me and Chaos only just met each other a couple weeks ago, and we both kind of came together through the Reaper Ascension Reign situation, and we both clicked and we're like, hey, let's just start reaching out to these projects and bringing them on. Let's show some faces. Let's just start talking to them, because we're fascinated by this whole process, and we want to help the community grow as well. So yeah.
Fantastic. On that topic, since you're part of Block, I kind of want to go back a little ways here. Just touch on X-Stick quickly. I think they're a solid project, but they don't really want to be doxxed, right? So I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, XStick is one that sort of didn't cross my mind before when you were asking about them. I personally have not invested in XStick, so that's my personal view. I don't know enough about them. I get a bit confused why straight NFT projects need a token. That confuses me at times. But like I said, I haven't done my due diligence on them either, so I really would prefer to reserve my comments on them. What I will say is they have some kick-ass NFTs.
Yeah,
like,
they're actually cool NFTs.
Yeah, what I do believe is, and this is my personal belief, this is not the block's belief. So with the block, we all have our own personal views and we argue about them until we find a resolution or something that we agree on. So that's how the block sort of operate. But with doxing, I don't believe you have to be doxed. And I believe it's a big draw card to the crypto world for a lot of people, was to be this anonymous individual that could still operate in a business sense without having to say, this is my face. And there's a lot of danger in it. I've spoken to devs that have received death threats, and they have young families, and that's like quite concerning, right? Like if you're trying to run a business and as a result you're getting death threats from anonymous people, right? It makes you want to be anonymous yourself, and I can understand that. So it is difficult sometimes. And I think with straight art, when it's just NFTs, I don't really see the need for doxing. That's my personal view. But when you start getting into tokens, tokenomics, and business ideologies that are going to last for 5, 10, forever into the future, that's when I really think it's important to dox. And the reason why is because, again, that dirty word trust, that trust needs to be developed. Because if you're going to, let's say, buy a token and hold it, how do you have any faith in that individual that they're not going to run away with your funds? Because that is what is happening. You're taking a transaction and you're holding a token which is backed by a project. That project disappears, that token loses its value. Yeah. It's very different with the old school meme coins where there is no project behind it. And I'll even say Bitcoin's different, right? Because Bitcoin doesn't have a team behind it. So that can't even happen with Bitcoin.
It's exactly what me and James were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
it's interesting
really
that you're on the same
right?
page here too. That's awesome.
100%. So it's really difficult to gauge when and when not to dox. But usually my opinion is if there's a token being issued, that's when doxing is a bit of a requirement. And there are projects out there where I'll openly say, they might say, man, I want to do a collab with you. And I'll be like, love to collab. Let's get you doxed first, you know? And it's just, that's my viewpoint. And it doesn't have to be a public doxing. And that's something else I will say. I believe doxing can happen via a third party. So let's say an individual has received death threats and they are not comfortable with publicly doxing themselves. All right, let's write an NDA up. Let's come to an agreement. I'm not going to reveal who your face is to the public, but let's at least have a conversation like we're doing now. So I have faith that you are a real person, that I know who you are if you ever create any nefarious activity or do anything illegal. So we can at least protect those people in the community through a third-party doxing. I believe that is probably an idea that someone can utilize. I know there's Global ID, which is sort of a public doxing, but why isn't there a system that runs similar to Global ID?
To touch on this, there actually is. There is. So have you heard of ZK rollups or ZK starts?
Never heard of them.
Okay, so these are crypto projects that are using what's called zero knowledge proofs. Okay. And this is exactly what you're talking about. So it's like if you need to prove your credentials to a university, for example, you can prove your credentials and prove it's you without giving them any other information. So you don't have to give them any personal information. But it's like, bang, this is exactly this is what we're talking about. So check out ZK.
What country are they from?
I'm not 100% sure. There's several projects doing this, but it's
I've heard Big Boy talk about ZK.
Radar. Yeah. So again, it's called zero knowledge proofs is like the base layer of it, and everything's building off the zero knowledge proofs.
Because in Australia, they're starting to move towards that because a lot of our telecommunication companies have been getting hacked and they've been stealing all the data, all the bank account details, all the credit card details, and it's not just like financial issues, it becomes identity theft issues as well. And like I'm part of like a group called Optus. Optus is one of the biggest telecommunication companies here, and they just recently got hacked. Luckily, I wasn't on the list that got hacked, but it's still very concerning when your own personal information with a trusted entity is not anymore. It's not trusted anymore.
Well, and if you're mobile providers with them too, we're talking about the crypto hacks are big on there too, right? Because all they need to do is call your provider and be like, just change it and annoy them until someone does, and then you lose your info.
It's funny you say that because when I first got into digital assets 3 years ago, that was the main thing that everybody was talking about, that somebody can contact your phone provider and say that. So what I did was I called them up directly, AT&T, and I said, I want if anyone calls and requests any kind of a SIM card, because they do it through a SIM card, that I need them to show up in person with an identity
ID or whatever. Yeah.
and they noted my account, and it happened
Unreal.
twice, but
It happened twice.
yeah, no, they tried twice, but because
So they tried to hack you twice or steal
Twice.
your. Holy crap!
twice.
That's wild.
And because I told them that if they wanted a SIM card, you know, note my account saying, if you want a SIM card, you have to come in person and show your ID. That's what saved me.
Smart.
Awesome,
Very
guys. Thank you so much for giving me the time. I
Yeah.
look forward to getting to know you guys even better than this. But this has been
Totally.
so much fun. One of the best interviews I think I've ever had.
Oh,
I'm feeling the
thanks.
vibe from you guys as well. So
Yeah, that's
Nice.
good.
lots of great questions. What I will say is what you guys did today is you just didn't ask the easy questions. There were the hard questions in there. And I encourage every single community member, every single investor, if you have a question, ask those questions just like the boys did today, because those hard questions are what is going to define the difference between like a trustworthy person and a non-trustworthy person. How are they responding to that question? Are they going to be able to answer it? Are they going to defer the question for later, or are they going to ignore you? If they're ignoring you, there's an issue there, right? So ask those questions. If you've got those questions, I guarantee someone else has them as well.
And for the record, just like Patrick, he didn't know what we were going to ask him. He was just bang, ready to go. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we're living and breathing this, like the good devs anyway. And then like Patrick is online all the time. I don't know when that guy sleeps, to be
Yo,
honest.
so
It's
crazy.
just military
He
training,
never
man. I'm telling
He
you.
never doesn't answer. He never doesn't answer, that guy. It is
Oh,
incredible,
man.
bro.
It's
It is
fascinating, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Unreal, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
yeah,
On
thanks
that
for
note-
taking the time with us.
Yeah, peace and blessings, everyone. Catch you on the next one.